one of the most controversial, well, I don't know if I call it controversial. Let's call it one of the most contentious theories in education right now, especially in our board. So the idea of differentiated instruction. And why is that controversial? Well, I have a theory about that. I have a theory, and the theory is that it's impossible. That's why it's a contentious issue, because it's impossible. And why is it impossible? Well, here's why. 27 to 1. What is that? Here's the ratio. 27 students roughly average to one teacher in a classroom for, let's say, an hour and 10 minutes. How is this going to work? How is this one supposed to reach this 27? Knowing that each one of these has its own individual pace, its own, each student doesn't learn at the same pace, doesn't have the same ability level, doesn't have the same interest level, doesn't have the same home environment, doesn't have the same even aspirations to do anything afterwards. So with these 27 different personalities in a room, this one is supposed to, in this hour and 10 minutes, reach all of them. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And that's the frustrating thing, because the experts tell us that we should. And the experts not only tell us that we should, but that we have to do this. But if it's an impossibility, then are we doomed? Is that it? Should we just throw our hands up? No, obviously not. We have to try. But I think the problem isn't with the situation. I don't think the situation is untenable at all. I have my own theories about the traditional structure and how it's flawed, sure. But let's just say that's a given. The flaw is with the term. I think this is a flawed term. I think it's a flawed concept entirely, actually. And here's what the flaw is. Here's your problem. Instruction. That's the problem with this theory. Differentiated instruction. Why? Because instruction is not the most important thing that happens in a classroom. That's not. And people will say, well, what do you mean? The most important thing that happens in a classroom is not instruction. And I think that's where the experts get it wrong. The most important thing that happens in a classroom is learning. Differentiated learning. If we look at it differently, and if we put the focus there, then I think it's possible. Differentiated instruction is nice. It's a good idea to try to get to there, but the end goal has got to be this, has got to be learning. And if we change our concept to the idea of differentiated learning as opposed to differentiated instruction, perhaps things are possible. Perhaps other things are possible. So let's see, what is possible? One idea that we have is to then take, so what do you do with that? You take what you have, you take possibly technology, and I think that's all technology really should be, is a tool to get you where you need to go. I mean, students have to be exposed to it and to think that they aren't, or that they won't learn better or use it is antiquated thinking, and we have to go on from that. But we use technology to be able to allow this to happen. So here's an idea. We reverse the classroom. How do you do that? Assign the lesson. Sorry. For homework. Create these podcasts or those sorts of things. So imagine this. My idea is what we're going to call, and I'll write it down here, Titan tutorials. They would be online, visual, audio lessons. Now, what would we be able to do this? So what you would say is this. Imagine this situation. You say to your class, tonight I want you to view this podcast or this online tutorial, this lesson. Go home and do it. Where can you do it? Go to YouTube. You're going to go to YouTube anyway. All your smartphones have the ability to view YouTube videos anyway. So it's there. You don't even need to have a PC at home. You don't even need to have a laptop or anything like that. You can view it on YouTube. Go home. Do this lesson. Listen to it. Take whatever notes, depending on what the subject is. Even if there's some little exercises to do that go along with it, do those. That's your homework. And then in the class, we're going to do the assignments. And I'm going to work with each of you individually. And that's where I have the time to do that. And if you're going to do some group work with it, then I can sit and do that. Because I don't have to take the 20 minutes. I don't have to take that time. What will that do? Well, what will allow them to do? They're going to watch that video during their time that they're controlling. Meaning, it could be music going on, it could be in their room, it could be on their bed, it could be in the basement, or, in their favorite chair. They're not wearing their uniform. They are able to do it in an environment that works for them. Maybe they're really great late at night, or they're afternoon, or they're right before dinner, or they're eating while they're doing the lesson. Oh my God, how incredible would that be? But it's their time. They can figure out the best time that works for them. And they know what that is. I mean, they know that now what that is. What's the best time for them? Here's a key that I think can't be ignored. They're going to do it at their pace, which means they can rewind it. They can pause it. If they don't understand a concept, they can rewind it and watch it 10 times over. What they don't have to do is stand up or raise their hand and say to a teacher in front of their peers, in front of a whole class, in that pressure cooker of anxiety that is a high school classroom, and say, I don't get it. And ask the teacher to say it over and over again. And the teacher's going to say, you know what? I got to move on. We got to move forward. See me after class, or see me at, and they're not going to come. They're not going to do that. So this gives them the chance to do it on their pace. It also allows them to do it to address their needs. Maybe I only need a part of it. Maybe there's one section that I don't understand of a 20-minute lesson. There's a 5-minute section that I really need. The rest of it I already get. So say it's a math concept and there's somebody who's really, quite capable in math and they don't need the refresher. What happens in those classrooms if there's somebody who's bored, right? Often some of your more behavioral students are gifted students who just are so bored with what's going on in the classroom that they act out in certain ways. Well, they're not going to do that because they can only watch it in theirs. So what happens here? In this situation, a very simple situation in which there is, here's the key, one lesson created by who? One teacher, right? So that ratio works, 1-to-1. One lesson created by one teacher. But what do we have? We have let's say on average, 27 different times, or 27 different paces that are adjusted, or 27 different sets of needs that are met in one way or another. What do we have here? There. What do we have? We have that good old term of differentiated instruction. We got it. And we got it with one lesson, with a 1-to-1 ratio that works. The proposal is to use the technology that's even already existing or that's free, YouTube, those sorts of things, that's free or that's already existing or is of minimal cost to create videos. Now, how can we do that? We can do that using the smart boards. We can use that are up there as well. There are people who are taking those in services or are signing up, and I know Peter Aguirre just sent a new email saying that there are some more, and that's great. So we can use smart boards. Let's just erase this so we can get this straightened out a little bit. So there is the potential, and we're going to go back up here for Titan tutorials. So perhaps, remember, you can do a lesson on the smartboard, and you can even wear a wireless mic, and we can invest in a couple of wireless mics, and you can do your lesson and record it. This is the same technology that I'm using here for this, is Smart Notebook. You can record it and then post it, and that night the students can listen to it again if you want to rework it, or you can just set it up to do it that way. You can use just the smart technology, which our board has a board license for, and all admin computers have it, and we're going to have to check to see if teacher computers have it. But smart technology will allow you to do this recording, is what I'm doing right now. We can invest in some tablets. This is the one we have right here that I'm using. This is quite easy to do. And one of the keys is to, improve our web presence. Now, in an immediate setting, like when I say immediate, I'm talking tomorrow, we could use YouTube and Facebook quite easily. Free, available, all the students know how to use it. We can post it. In fact, I've posted this video on YouTube so that you can watch it that way. Eventually, the board will have a portal, and we're not even entirely sure what that's going to look like or what that's going to be, but there's thoughts of that each student and teacher will have their own account. There'll be things that'll be a lot more interactive, a lot easier to use. So my contention is this portal is coming. It was supposed to come last year, but it's been delayed. But it is coming, and we need to prepare for it. We need to prepare to get the most out of it. We need to allow our students to use technology. Now, does that mean we have to buy everybody laptops? No, they already have the machinery that they need. And most of the stuff is free. We just have to open ourselves up to it. Admin is dedicated and is committed to the idea of release days. So to give some teachers, and my hope is that between, now and say Thanksgiving, some teachers come forward, perhaps some people sitting here listening to this right now, come forward and say, I want to do this. And I want to take a day and I want to create a series of lessons. Let's just say for the next unit that I'm going to do. And I'm going to take all my lessons and I'm going to put them in some sort of form. Another one could possibly be simply recording a PowerPoint that you narrate. Sorry, this is really messy, but a PowerPoint that you narrate. So backtracking there a little bit, I'm sorry I digress, but the idea is to say now teachers coming forward and saying, that's what I want to do. I'm going to take a day, I'm going to plan this out, and then I'm going to take a day and sit somewhere in the classroom or in the school where I can really get this done. And I can use the technology that we have, and again, the school's dedicated to purchasing some of this stuff that's needed and go through, and I want to create it. And then I'm going to report about it. And then I'm going to come to staff and I'm going to come to admin and I'm going to say, this is what worked, this is what didn't work, and get feedback from students and then really build. And the hope is that there is a real web presence, that we can be a school that kids can go to that will offer this, that they can go to our website and whatever that's going to look like in the next little while and be able to access these things from home and so that they can reach their time. That's how you get to differentiated instruction. That's, in my opinion, the only way that's possible. But more importantly than that, that's how we completely understand differentiated learning. And the hope is that the students will eventually learn what kind of learners they are. And then they can take advantage of the stuff that's there. This is a game changer, I think. And in a lot of ways, it was inspired by something that I'm going to get into a little bit more detail, the Khan Academy, and we can look into that a little bit. But I think it's a game changer. I think it's a tipping point. I think it's the start, though. There's lots of other things that can happen. There's lots of other innovations that can occur. But this is something that can be done right now. This is something that can be done by Thanksgiving. This is something that can be done in this term for these students, for this class that's sitting right in front of you. So if you're in, let's get started.